In 2002, the entire world saw Spider-Man for the first time on the big screen. After 10 years and 3 successful films, Sony was ready for a reboot of the Spider-Man franchise. The question is, does the movie behave as if it is ready for a reboot, or does it behave as a rambunctious child that no one likes? Find out here, guys. I'm Vidum Suman with an in-depth, spoiler-free review for the Amazing Spider-Man movie, which opens July 3rd. This movie better be good. I've been making videos about it for a year. If it ain't good, The Amazing Spider-Man has the tagline, The Untold Story, which at first concerned me, but then gained my interest. Although it gained my interest for the positive, it gained other people's interest for anything but the positive. There's nothing untold about it. Boy gets bitten by a spider, gets powers, then becomes a superhero. Sure, that's part of the movie, but that's not all of it. By untold story, they mean the story of his parents. That's the untold part, the part that we never have seen on the big screen. The story is about Peter Parker, who is played by Andrew Garfield, finding a briefcase in his aunt and uncle's basement. And Peter Parker's aunt and uncle are played by Martin Sheen and Sally Field. Peter comes across the briefcase while he is cleaning up in the basement. The briefcase belongs to his dad, and that leads him on a journey trying to find out what happened to his parents. Along the way, his uncle tells him that Dr. Connors, who is played by Rhys Ifans, was the one in the picture with his dad, even though he denied knowing who the person was in the picture before. Peter ends up meeting Dr. Connors, and you can guess where that goes. The subplots of Gwen Stacy and her family are there too. I'm not saying they're not memorable, I just don't want to go in detail with the story. Now onto the part you care about, the review. There are many reviews circulating online, some good and some bad. I would like to tell you this right off of the bat. This review is a good one. For me, The Amazing Spider-Man was an enjoyable, fun-filled experience. The movie appealed to me not only as a high schooler, but as a Spider-Man fan. I felt that this movie was made for the fans. Andrew Garfield is a perfect Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And yes, he is better than Tobey Maguire. To me, in the previous Raimi saga, Tobey felt as a good Peter Parker, but not so much as Spidey. That may not be his fault. I mean, it could be the writers, but nonetheless, that's just how I feel about him. On the other hand, Garfield is perfect both emotionally, physically, and vocally. Spidey is a wise-cracking funny guy, and although it is not throughout the entire film, it is there and apparent. Since I'm on the subject of Andrew Garfield, how about I get to the cast? The cast is phenomenal. Everyone does their part and carries off of each other. Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield are great on screen. And hearing Denis Leary and Andrew Garfield go at it is a blast. Sally Field and Martin Sheen are excellent too. They both seem like a loving, married couple that care for each other and Peter. Now, I'm not saying that this wasn't shown in the Raimi films, or film, because Uncle Ben was only alive for one movie, but it is much more apparent in this movie. The relationship between Peter and his uncle is much more fleshed out. Sure, it takes a while for it to get to that moment when Peter's uncle is taken from him, but it just honestly makes you care more about the character and feel for Peter when that moment actually happens. Now on to that moment. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard in numerous reviews or read that it takes a long time to get to that moment when Martin Sheen, Uncle Ben, is killed, and that it takes a while to get to that moment when Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man, when Peter actually becomes Spider-Man. And it's true that it takes a while to get to that Spidey kick bad guy butt moment, but the wait isn't painfully boring. I know I'm going to get some comments about this, but you can think of it as the first 40 minutes or hour of the Avengers. It had its little moments of action, but besides that, it was setting up what was about to happen. And that's what this is doing. The first hour of The Amazing Spider-Man is an interesting one, with us seeing what Connors and Peter are trying to do, what Flash Thompson, who is played by Chris Zalka, is making Peter go through, and what's happening between Peter and his loved ones, including Gwen Stacy. For the fans, you will love this. You will love seeing Peter act how you would expect him to, and everyone else acting the same way. You'll love Peter being a genius, smarter than Tony Stark. Yeah, I said it. Building his web shooters. You'll love that Peter or should I say Spider-Man, is being a smart aleck, and you'll love the way that Spider-Man moves. He moves like Spider-Man should. To those that aren't fans of Spider-Man, meaning the only knowledge you have about Spidey is all that was shown and explained from the previous Spidey movies, then it is unclear whether or not you'll appreciate this movie as much as the die-hard fans that know the story will. There may be things that you guys won't understand. I mean, you may not know that Spidey or Peter Parker is a genius, smarter than Tony Stark, and there may be a few things that you may feel are sped past. That's one problem with the movie, but we'll get to the problems I have with it in a bit. People that don't have a lot of knowledge may not enjoy this as much and may just want to see Spidey hack and slash with the Lizard. And there is a build up to that which I like, and I'm sure others do and will. But I am also sure some may not. Now let's move on to the problems that I have with this movie. This list isn't that long, but it is there. First of all, the problem I have is the amount of things that are glazed over. I didn't realize this while watching, but after talking with someone that also saw it with me, that didn't have as much knowledge on the Spider-Man subject as me, I realized there were certain things he didn't understand. He never knew that Peter was a genius because they never deeply went into that in the previous movies. Remember, his only source of knowledge was from the previous movies. Now, I'm not assuming this result for all people that don't have a lot of knowledge on the Spidey topic, but it is a problem. In The Amazing Spider-Man, Peter is just a genius, and you're supposed to pick up on this. I did, and I'm sure people with the knowledge on Spidey will too. But to others, people may just assume Peter is a normal 17-year-old boy. But no. There are other things that are also glazed over, like the Man in the Shadows, which was intentional, but some people may not know who he is. I'm not telling you. You can look that one up for yourself. Another problem I have with the movie is the music. Oh, goodness. The music in the previous trilogy was brilliant, but in this movie, it sometimes needs help or just needs to stop. Like the scene with the Lizard coming into Oscorp and Gwen hiding in the closet. That scene had me on the edge of my seat until I heard, ding! It had the sound of a shocking moment from Friday the 13th in the 70s. It was terrible, unnecessary, and pulled me right out of the moment, making me want the scene to quickly end. The music isn't bad throughout the whole movie, but it definitely is a problem. The final thing wrong is that Peter and Dr. Connors start to stray away from the subject of his parents. It was so important to Peter that he gets emotional when his uncle says something about his father and responsibility that Peter leaves for a while, breaking the door that he slammed behind him in one scene, but later it is like none of that mattered. It's like Peter's love for science and the need to continue his father's work it just completely blinds him from trying to find the truth about his parents. This isn't as big of a problem as it sounds, but it is one nonetheless. On a side note, the biggest problem I have with the movie is that Peter uses Bing as a search engine. No, I'm joking. On to the pluses again. The cast is excellent, including Andrew, who is in fact a better Spider-Man than Tobey Maguire. The movie is entertaining. It is not Twilight or anything like that. It is not a soap opera or a chick flick. Thank God. No Spidey web of sparkles here. The suit is actually great, which is a good thing because at first everyone had their doubts for this costume, including me, and I'm sure some still do, but the costume really does work for this film. The Lizard is great. The look of the Lizard just works too. He does have his lab coat in some scenes, and it doesn't bother me that he has no snout. Not to mention him talking. The one thing I didn't like about him was when he was holding Peter's neck and he says strongly, like he strongly says it, "Poor Peter Parker." And it's like he puts emphasis on the P's. But actually, now that I think about it, it wasn't a problem. Just, it wasn't necessary. But I'm not going to talk about that. I also love the Stan Lee cameo. It was great. It was very good. It was very good. Overall, I feel that this movie is for the fans of the character, and that it's just so enjoyable to the fans, especially the fans. I kind of wish that the previous Raimi films never came into existence. They gave people the wrong idea about Spider-Man in some areas, and will most likely stop people from enjoying this great movie. For the fans and those that have an open mind, and are ready for something somewhat new in the sense that it is an origin story and that it is closely based to the comics, The Amazing Spider-Man should be an amazing, fun-filled movie for you. It is not dark and it is not trying to be Batman. It is Spider-Man under the magnifying glass. It is the best form and interpretation of Spider-Man on the big screen yet. It actually reminded me of all of the Spidey TV shows, including Ultimate Spidey, but for good reasons. For those of you that don't know much about Spidey, I suggest you read up a little bit on him, whether it's online or from a comic book. You should probably go into this movie with a little bit more knowledge to fully enjoy it. To me, The Amazing Spider-Man was a near-perfect film, and it actually is my favorite superhero film above The Avengers. I'll even be seeing it again with my friends when it comes out. So I'm Venom 2 Million, giving The Amazing Spider-Man a 4.5 out of 5. Remember, if you don't know a lot about Spidey, brush up a little bit on him before you see it, and if you don't, you'll probably think it deserves a 3 out of 5. Tell me guys, how do you feel about my review for The Amazing Spider-Man? If you like it, click the like button. If you liked the movie, if you've already seen it, click the like button. If you are looking forward to see it, click the like button. Let's have a conversation in the comments below. Are you excited for this movie, and do you think that this movie will be a success? I love the movie. I'm going to see it again. I want to support this movie. I really did love the movie. If you feel that this movie will be bad, leave a comment. Let me know. Let's have a conversation in the comment section below. And I'm Venom 2 Million saying, comment, rate, and subscribe for more of the information about Spider-Man comic book movies, games, just stuff. We're gonna expand. We're gonna have fun, guys. Leave me a comment, hit the subscribe button, click that like button, and I'm Venom 2 Million saying, peace, guys. Have a good one.